So today, interview number 3, and I am extremely excited to be with what my kids call lovingly Uncle Jake. And so, longtime friends and collaborator, but more importantly, family. And so, truly, when I stop and hesitate for just 2 seconds and think about our journey, I'm really excited to talk to you, because we talk all the time, but I think to little trip down memory lane and what we've learned together is going to be really fun. So humbled and honored to have Jake Hayhurst with me today.
I'm honored to be here.
Well,
that's for sure.
The first question I want to ask is, you've done so many things. How would you describe Jake Hayhurst? And again, as a reminder, this is not the Hayhurst Brothers Homes. We'll get into all that stuff, but I really want to talk to you and for people to hear from you. So how would you describe Jake Hayhurst?
I would say, first and foremost, I'd like to be known as a husband and a father. Those are the two most important things, I think, as men that we're called to be on this earth. First, obviously, followers of Christ, but second to that is a husband and then a father. So I would say that's the most important thing to me. It has, I've kind of been reflecting over some things after you told me we were going to be doing this, and I was thinking last night how interesting it is that our journeys with business have been very parallel. I mean, we both started our businesses pretty much at the same time. And it's been pretty neat to be able to lean on each other, be able to call you and say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm having problems here. This has been a struggle. And you've always been just a listening ear, and it's just been really neat to have that brotherhood of two different businesses that are, very different, but going for the same goal. We're both very people-minded, both all about glorifying God and what we're doing. And I think that's been hugely beneficial for Daniel and I to be able to bounce things off of you through the, whatever it's been, 12, 13 years.
So thank you, and I agree. But what you all just witnessed is the classic Jake dodge. And so we're going to come back to the question. And agreed, husband, father, man of God. You were cutting hair. Like, you had a studio and you were designing things and building things and all that. But at this stage, as you reflect, like, how do you see yourself aside from those things as a creative or business owner, all those things? Like, how do you think you've developed? I mean, what is Jake as a creative, or who, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've definitely got the creative side of the brain. Thankfully, I've got Daniel to lean on the business side, but I would say I've always liked working with my hands. That's been a major thing for me. There was a point in time in my marriage early on where I felt like I had to be the provider, and I got a job behind a cubicle answering phones, and it was, I mean, you might as well put me in a jail cell.
Right, literally.
It was terrible. So I've been very blessed to be able to work with my hands, and I think that's so important, to use the gifts, talents, and abilities that God's given us as men and pursuing those things, and I've been blessed enough to do that. But yeah, I think for me, I love what I do. Being a home builder, there's so much satisfaction, so much just fulfillment in building someone's home and having a family come in, and we meet in this office, and the kids we got coloring books and they're coloring, and get to sit down and talk with the homeowners and say, where would you like to see yourself? What would you like in your home? And just encouraging them to build a house for their family and put the square footage into the living spaces and not the bedrooms, and just implementing things that from my childhood I remember being crucial as to why me and my brothers are so close.
Well, y'all shared one room.
Yeah, we did. There was 5 of us. Yeah, 5 of us brothers, and we all shared one room, and it was incredible. And I try to let people know, hey, your kids don't all have to have their own same rooms, because it just creates a bond amongst siblings that is so special. But yeah, I think for me, I'm just blessed to be able to love what I do, love to come to work. We have a brotherhood here that's second to none amongst the guys and the ladies that work here, and it's special.
It's special from any angle. just even be able to witness it. So, I mean, when I explain Jake to people, to kind of just take it a little bit further, again, whether it's hair or wood or anything, the creativity is just, it's really overwhelming. And you see things differently, I think, and the intentionality behind your care for people comes through in your creativity. And because it's not just making something beautiful for being beauty's sake, the intentionality of how this is going to impact somebody really comes through. And it's funny because you were cutting my hair early on, and it's like, it was the same approach to a haircut as it is to building someone's home. And I think that's why everything that you do is so authentic and organic, because it's coming from this desire to create for intentionality, and it ends up being beautiful, but it's because you want it to be so special for whatever that is. And so I think of you as an artist and a creative because you're just so good at what you put your hands to, but behind it is this depth of desire to create something beautiful. And I think it's really special. And that's what I've always been drawn to. I mean, we get along, we talk about things. Obviously, you're a big sports guy, so we get to talk about
sports
that.
Jake.
But it's funny because that's honestly how we met. And so the next thing is, we've been telling the story for going on 13 years. Jake and I were at a Nordstrom rack. We got to the line at the same time, had a very brief interaction, went out to the car, and both individually just kind of had a moment, which we've talked about for a long time, we know it's true, of like, that was an incredible interaction.
Yeah, it was an encounter that you know, obviously you meet people all the time,
yeah.
But when someone legitimately has the light of Christ in them, they're shining. And I felt that from you. And that I got in the van or the vehicle with my wife, and I said, babe, I just had the weirdest interaction with this guy in there. Just a really nice guy. We had very few words, but there was some kind of weird connection. I don't know what to call it. She just thought
Divine.
It was romancing, because obviously she saw you walk by and you're Matt Fisher. So
yes. And then 2 days later,
my brother invites us to church at the village, and you walk in with your family and sit 2 rows in front of us. It's like, hey babe, that's the guy from Nordstrom Rack. There he is. And then afterwards?
Yep. We met after church and then said, okay, so this is obviously not coincidence. And brief pause and encouragement. Like, I think the thing that makes me really happy is we were both living life in such a way to be open to that interaction happening, and being open to, hey, I think we walk through life every single day and it's just like, oh, what a coincidence, or this or that. And I think if we pause for a second and allow ourselves to live a little bit more open-handed, really special things can happen. And I think that this story is an encouragement of exactly that. So after the service, we both were like, okay, this is not a coincidence. We're supposed to meet. And then we set up a dinner to meet, ironically, in Decatur.
Couple doors down from Trinity.
Couple doors down from where Trinity is now. And literally didn't know each other. And what came out of that meeting for you?
Oh, I mean, it was amazing. So again, I was cutting hair at the time and just getting back into building a little bit here and there. So I went to school for construction management, construction sciences, did some commercial construction, not fulfilling at all, just building big boxes. And then I had the opportunity to go under a man named Steve Jacoby in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and build incredible homes. But then after the recession, things kind of went south.
Yeah.
We lived in Australia for a little while, did some construction out there. They kicked us out. We ended up back here. We meet Matt Fisher, but at the time I'd gone back to school to cut hair because no one was really building anything.
Right.
And I mean, I want to spend all my time with my wife anyways, and she's a hairstylist.
She was doing colors and you were doing cuts, and
so
made a team.
To me, it's like, let's just do this together.
Yeah.
And then Matt Fisher comes, we meet at Roosters in Decatur, and he says, hey, you do construction? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm going to build a coffee shop. Will you build it for me? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And so that's where the culmination, the beginnings of West Oak started. And what an incredible project. But, you know, Matt is such an encourager, and I think you've got a little bit of prophecy in you too, because you spoke into my life many, many times, but at that point, I was a little bit just trepidatious maybe about getting back into something that I did and I loved, but at the time it just seemed like such a big step to go from what I went to school to do, was doing it with my wife, making good money, but I really wasn't passionate about it. And for you at that moment speaking into me and said, you saw a few things that I'd done, you said, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and I just really encourage you to step out there and pursue it. And that was confirmation for me that I needed to do it, and that was a big part of moving forward for both Daniel and I into what this business is. So you're a huge part of Hayhurst Brothers.
Well, thank you.
And,
I can take a very, very little to no credit for that. But even today, you know, West Oak is going on its 12th year, and the design and the space has just meant so much to so many people. And I love it, and I think that the work itself was also a lot of confirmation. One, that you enjoyed it, but two, that you were really good at it, and that there was probably a new path. And so it was so fun to build our companies together. And since West Oak, again, you know, you stepped out and built that. And what have you learned from then to now? And I know that that's really, really a lot. We've had a lot of conversations, but if you were to summarize just the things that you've learned from cutting hair, going to Australia, trying to find your way, and then stepping into your gifts, owning them, and making them what you do for a living, what are the big things that stand out to you?
I think for me, pursuit of what you love, what you enjoy, what you feel that the Lord has gifted you with, pursuing those things over money.
Right.
Because there was early in my marriage, I was like, you know, I've got to be successful, I've got to provide, I've got to do all these things.
Right.
And that's why I found myself at a desk job and all these different things. But the pursuit of what I'm passionate about, and that's what I'm doing right now in construction and home building and design, has been such a blessing. But it hasn't been easy.
No, God.
I mean, we've had our ups and downs. You've walked through a lot with us. The company is very blessed, but it's been a long road. But the beauty is the fulfillment that you get from doing what you love to do.
Right. Well, and you hit on the next question is like, how has what you've learned informed your perspective? I mean, because for me, whether I travel or whether I meet people in different, I'm just constantly open to my perspective being changed. You know, I'm so limited in what I know, and most of the time I'm just trying to make sense of what is in front of me. But perspective is really a huge thing, and you just said it, but I kind of want to hit on it a little bit. The perspective of what you learned is like, there's good things in being responsible. Like there's legitimate responsibility, and I hear that a lot from people. Like, I do have to pay the bills, and I do have these things, but it feels like it's gotten really twisted for most, and that becomes the priority. So with what you've learned, how has that changed your perspective on like money versus work, you know, responsibility versus living?
For me was, I think, getting over that hump of being fearful that you weren't going to succeed. I think that was a big one for me, that, you know, I'm going to get into this and I'm going to fail.
Right.
You know, that's a big one, I think, as most men, you know, as
Fear,
you pursue something, worried about failure. But getting over that was a big thing. And I think you touched on something pretty valuable too. In this business, I love to travel as well. And I think in design and home building and just the creative side, travel is one of the most beneficial things you can do, because it does broaden your horizons. It broadens your perspective. It opens you up to cultures and ideas and things that we're kind of in a bubble here, obviously.
Right.
And you drive around and you see the same house over and over and over. So if you travel and you get out there and you see different cultures and the way other people are building things, and whether it's France or Hawaii.
We were talking about Japan last night, the way they put the fire around the center of the home.
That's exactly right. That's a perfect example. Bringing those things and finding things that work, but implementing those things into people's homes will give you something unique, something intentional, something, you know, for me, I'm passionate about the homeowner. You're paying outrageous amounts of money for this house.
Right.
It's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make. I want it to inspire those people when they walk in the door, not just be a place to just go home to and you're paying for every month. I want it to be inspiring to them to want to pursue the things that God's, putting on their hearts. So there's a lot more to it, and I don't think I even answered your question, but that's just what.
Well, you did. I mean, it's just it's having that perspective that comes from what you've learned, right?
Yeah.
And then having the courage to implement and lean on that. So, I mean, obviously, the number one thing for anybody is fear, and I don't mean to dismiss that at all because of what we talked about. There's responsibility.
That's right.
And so that's a good, healthy thing, but. As I keep saying, the reason that I want to do these interviews and these chats, especially with the people, is because they've acknowledged that fear and they have participated with that fear and they're living in the joy and success to a certain extent in that. And it's not Jeff Bezos money, it's like living, because that's not joy, that's not fulfillment.
That's right.
And so this whole idea, just to share with people for a moment of like, what would you do if you weren't afraid? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What would you do if you could just believe in the gifts that you have? And your story is such a beautiful representation of that, the thing that we all wrestle with. And you're sitting here telling me it's not perfect. And there are times that I know both of us in our businesses have been like, is tomorrow going to happen? Are the lights going to turn on? And so to say that it's just like easy peasy is laughable, but at the same time, it's been such a joy to watch you grow out of that fear and into the confidence, knowing that even if we don't sell any homes, life is okay.
That's right.
And we are provided for, and we will move in a new direction with these gifts and talents and blessings that we've received. And so just, participating with and acknowledging that these things exist, but some examples of how maybe we can move through them. What does success look like for Jake?
For me, success is wonderful children, a happy wife, a wonderful marriage, that family unit that God calls us as men to be. And on top of that, if you go from that into my business, I would say success would be that all the people that believed in what we're doing and still do, and the people behind the scenes that are actually making this happen, to be able to bless them immensely. And once we get to where all of the people that work at Hayhurst Brothers in this office, to where they are blessed immensely, to me, that's, as far as business goes, that's success. Because a lot of us here have gone through a lot together, and to be able to financially bless those men and women would be success to me.
Well, and again, that goes back to just how you live your life. I mean, whether it's the smallest thing in the world to your staff, to the home that you're building for a family, your heart is genuinely to bless people authentically, and your answer doesn't surprise me at all, because that's how you live your life every day. I like a lot of things that Steve Jobs says, and or said, I should say, and saying no. You know what I mean? Because you always want to do everything, literally, and the end game to bless people. I'm curious, like, how is that? Is that a struggle for you to say no to things?
Oh, big time.
Because if you're gonna hit your goals of being successful in the things that you just described, I think I've learned you really have to funnel your time and your energy, and you have to learn to say no to things so that you can prioritize them and keep priorities straight. How has it been learning to say no, or have you?
I'm working on it. It's been a big. My wife just looked over the window there, but yeah, we've had some conversations about it, because I have a hard time saying no. But to the point where a lot of times the things that I need to be doing at the house take the back seat because someone else might need me for something.
Right.
And I think, I'm growing and I'm getting better at it, but there's still room to work. But you're exactly right. And I think, we've had this conversation in the past, but we have to learn to say no.
Yeah.
Have to. And I'm not very good at it, but I have gotten better. But in order to get where we want to be in anything, there's always going to be things pulling at us,
of course,
no matter what.
Right.
And especially as our businesses grow, our families grow. There's a lot going on. So prayerfully working through things and trying to figure out what to say no to and what to say yes to, because that's a big thing. Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Right,
so you don't want to say, to a fault, sometimes I'll say yes to something and then I'm so overwhelmed with everything else I have to do that I forget to do what I said I was going to say that I was going to do.
Yeah.
And that's worse than if I would have just said, no, sorry, I can't do that.
That's right. Well, and the thing of it is, there's a fear that comes from, well, if I say no to this thing, that's actually not real either. I mean, people understand, they'll ask the question, but if you kindly and lovingly give them, hey, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It really protects everybody. And one thing that I've really been walking through in my life and in my business is just like, if I'm not the best version of myself, and if I can't, head the fear on, and if I can't protect my time, then nobody and nothing is getting the best version of me. And so it's interesting that just knowing you, I know that is a challenge for you. And so that said, like, where do you hope Jake Hayhurst is in 5 years? And I hate these questions to a certain extent, because the way I live my life and the way that the people that I live my life with is all very open-handed.
Sure.
But I think it's helpful sometimes to just set some arbitrary goals, knowing that life could turn in a 90-degree when I walk out that door. But I mean, just if you sit and you think and you're talking to Kristen or whatever, 5-10 years, what does that look like?
5 years, I think I would like, let's see, that's going to be, Stella will be out of the house. I'll be an empty nester, which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
I think that's for Kristen and I, we have always raised our girls to leave the house. We have an amazing relationship with Lily and Stella, and we don't want them to leave, but you prepare them to leave. That's for life. That's right. And so I actually look forward to being an empty nester. And so, it would just be Kristen and I. I'd like to build my own house someday. I still live in...
You build everybody else's dream homes.
I still live in the house that my wife grew up in, and she moved into when she was 2. We inherited it. It's a really great little farmhouse, but someday I'd love to build my own house.
Yeah.
So that would be probably a goal in 5 years, and for this place to be financially stable enough to be a blessing to people.
Yeah.
And get to where I would love to get to where I can take this whole team, leave for 2 weeks, and go and build houses for someone in Africa or Haiti or that. That's a big goal for me, is to get this smooth running enough and the systems and process and financially stable to where we've got 12, 14 guys here that are all just incredible men. We get on a plane and we go and we serve. Yeah. Because we're all called for more than what's going on right here. And I know that. And the Lord's preparing us for that. It's just what that looks like, I'm not 100% sure yet. Sure. But that would be a really great thing in 5 years.
That's awesome. Well, and everything we've kind of discussed, stay the course, and that's probably where you're going to end up. It's the mountains and valleys that will come along the way. It's just a quiet confidence that sitting here with you now, 12, 13 years later, that we didn't have 12 or 13 years ago, is what I'm trying to articulate and share with folks. And so thank you for sitting down with me. Just as a human, I've been saying this in the other interviews, but if you need a home, just look up the Hayhurst Brothers. Even if it's just a floor plan that you're looking for, if you're not living locally, just the thought and intentionality behind everything that Jake said. There's a little bit of a debate here. I think I have the first Hayhurst Brothers home.
I think you do.
And so every single day is a gift and a blessing. The way that the house was designed, and rollerblading and throwing the football and playing basketball in the main living area, and really having that center of the home it's exactly what you said. We've been there 7 years, And so what you kind of described and touched on earlier is my experience every day when I come home. My heart rate goes down, me and my kids are all together. You really kind of take that for granted when you think about a home. You know what I mean? It's not something that you think about consciously, you just go home. And so my encouragement is, if you want something special and you want to do it with people that are gonna legitimately put you first, please look into the Hayhurst Brothers. Thank you so much. Thank you for the time. You know I love you.
Matt Fisher, love you. Appreciate it.
Check it out.